back to another exciting podcast. In this podcast, we are going to be discussing about evading antivirus solutions. With me, I have Siddharth, and I am Shashi. I will be your host for this podcast. I am a senior security consultant at Redfox Security. At Redfox Security, we provide penetration testing services across various domains of cybersecurity, be it hardware, infrastructure, web applications. Basically, we have our hands dirty in all of them. Apart from providing penetration testing services, we also provide trainings as well as courses. So if you are interested in that, do check out our courses as well as trainings on our website, which is at redfoxsec.com. Okay, yeah. So let's start with the podcast. Sid, please introduce about yourself.
Yes. So I am Siddharth. I am a security consultant at Redfox Security, and today I'll be taking everybody through a flow where we tackle some challenges that we face during red team engagements, or in general while we're learning, we're trying to evade defenses. These are some challenges we go through, and the proposed methodology of how we get through them and how we overcome those challenges. So I'll be covering all of that in this podcast. So let's get to the slides, and I can show you the flow, right?
Yeah.
So to the slides. The prime focus of this podcast is to evade Windows Defender. It has evolved from being just a static signature testing security system, and it has now become a suite of very advanced tooling which does amazing behavioral detection. It has AMSI integration, and it has now become a very advanced and integrated security system for Windows. The point of this podcast is because the Windows Defender has become the last line of defense for a lot of organizations which promote bring your own device culture. This culture has offset the EDR deployment by a bit, because if it's your device, you will be the admin on that device. And a lot of EDR deployments allow the admin of those devices to remove the EDRs completely. There are some protections against that, but it is in one sense, bring your own device culture has offset the EDR deployment. And the antiviruses, specifically Defender, which comes pre-installed and it comes with Windows, has become the line of defense which attackers have to overcome. So today's demo, I'll take you through evading detection from Windows Defender's latest patch, and we will be running Rubeus and Mimikatz in a Windows Defender environment.
So I would like to add one more thing here, is that in the real engagement that we also do, most of them have EDRs already installed, but there are few environments that don't have the EDRs. So they are solely dependent on the antivirus solutions, or I would say the Microsoft Defender that is there. So there are instances where you can see that, and in those cases you might have to bypass that as well.
Moreover, in cases of like Windows servers, when we tried to run elastic security on Windows servers, we found that it was not overtaking the responsibility of Windows Defender. Both were coexisting in the same environment.
Yeah.
So in such a scenario, we don't just have to evade or avoid elastic defend. We also have to go through Windows Defender.
Yeah.
Right. So it has become a very crucial element that we have to get through.
Yeah, true.
So a little about Windows Defender. Recently, it has become pretty powerful in eradicating threats because of cloud integration and their machine learning algorithms for advanced threat detection. The key features that every one of you can see on the virus and threat protection menu in your computers has real-time protection, which is basically Windows Defender checking the creation, modification of every file, and the behavioral testing of anything you're running through any script interpreter like PowerShell. Cloud delivered protection is essentially Microsoft has its own repository of threat intel, which it collects over from the internet. A lot of it from open source repositories, and they must be doing their own collection as well. Sample submission is something which we here at Redfox, and I think every person who's doing offensive security hate, because if you keep this on and then you test your payloads, it will submit it to Microsoft Defender, and that is the only time it will work.
So basically, you are revealing your secrets to the
Yes.
world, I would say.
Yes, exactly. And tamper protection is just a protection for Windows Defender so that an attacker is not able to disable Windows Defender that easily. The impact Windows Defender recently had that it has had on Evasion is that now trial and error has become a very hard thing to do. Earlier, if it was just Yara rules, we could try as many times we want, and eventually we'll get to a payload that does not get detected. But now it's going to segment those signatures and submit it to their cloud, and it's going to run it in a sandbox and do everything. So like small advancements in your payload, all of them will get documented, and your whole methodology may get compromised, right? And definitely we have to deal with the latest threat intel from cloud repositories. So if you're applying a methodology that somebody else has already used over the years and you don't even know about it, Windows Defender would know about it. And yes, as I said before, generic signature-based evasion is obsolete. It does not work anymore. Now, some common evasion techniques which work, like they will not work every time, they will not work in every single scenario. You do have to do some kind of trial and error testing on a test bench. One of them is packing, in which you mangle the binary and there's a packing stub on it. This is primarily made to evade the signature-based detection. A lot of antiviruses, EDRs are catching up on this. If they see a UPX packed binary, they will unpack it first and then run signature-based detection. So that is something that happens. Fileless attacks. This is I think by far my favorite way of evading any kind of a protection solution. It's like we don't drop the binaries to disk. We load those binaries remotely in memory, let them execute, get the output, and then purge those binaries. So if it does not touch the disk, Windows Defender does not have enough time, it does not have enough room to run a thorough scan on it.
Correct.
If we leave it long enough in the memory, Windows Defender does pick up on it, even EDRs pick up on it. But if it's like a use and purge, it will use a lot more bandwidth, but it will not get blocked by Defender. Then there is living off the land. So this is again one very interesting tactic that attackers use, which I also used against one of the EDRs here. So MS build is by far the most strong yet the most signatured living off the land binary. We can bypass app locker restrictions. We can get through that CLM restrictions. We can like upgrade our CLM and run unmanaged PowerShell just by writing some XML and C# code in MS build. And the fact is that it's a signed binary, right? Microsoft has licensed this binary, signed this binary. So no antivirus will prevent this from executing. However, what it does after that is something that antiviruses, EDRs have started picking up on, right? And that's what gets blocked nowadays. Some advanced evasion tactics are DLL and memory injections. These have also become pretty signatured, but once you get through AMSI and you're able to unhook DLLs and do stuff like that, after that, this is one of the best ways you can execute something. Bypassing behavioral analysis. So Windows Defender also does this. So let's say you have a binary, a totally obfuscated and undetectable binary for Rubeus, right? And you're trying to run it through a command line. The problem that arises with that is that you will have to give it some arguments, right?
Correct.
Let's say ask TGT or harvest or create net only. Windows Defender has started picking up on these arguments and what follows.
Okay.
So Windows Defender will block that binary and note that this signatured binary is not cool. It's probably Rubeus, and it will not let it execute as well.
Okay.
So that is something that we also have to get through. One solution of that is using environmental variables. It gets past the behavioral detection.
Okay.
Modifying existing tooling is one of the most thorough processes of evading detection, because we take, let's say, Rubeus, right, and we try to strip it off of all of its signatures. No function name should be similar, no nothing, right?
Yeah.
And in case of Mimikatz or something like that, we need to, sometimes modify what kind of a technique it's using to, let's say, grab a handle on LSAS or something like that, right? So that takes a lot of research, and after we've compiled it, we'll also mangle the binary, obfuscate it further. So this is the most time-consuming method, but it proves to be the best.
Yeah.
So after this, we'll move on to a practical demonstration, and we'll try to bypass Windows Defender on its latest patch right now. We will be obfuscating Rubeus and running it through a PowerShell wrapper, as well as running invoke Mimikatz and dumping domain and local credentials. The setup is a VM, a Windows server. It has some domain setup on it, some stuff set up on it. That will be the site where we will attack, and the machine which I am running everything on, it has all the protections turned off so that I can compile things properly. Right? Alright, so this is basically a demonstration of how Windows Defender picks up on stuff. This is the generic version of Rubeus that I've pulled off of GitHub, and I'll build the binary.
So right now your antivirus is turned off or it's on?
So on my device, it's turned off.
Okay.
So that I can compile. Otherwise, it would purge Rubeus right there and then. Here, this machine, Windows Defender, is turned on. I'll show it to you. Only sample submission is off, obviously. Otherwise, it's turned on. So if we pull Rubeus out, get it to the desktop, it gets detected immediately, and it gets detected as Kekyo, which is the older name of something Rubeus is based on. Right. One thing that gets detected most of the times is, as I said, the function names, the strings, and if it's a .NET binary, then what gets detected the most.
So these are the static things.
Yeah, the static things. One thing that gets detected the most is this GUID.
Okay.
Because this is the same from when Rubeus was released on GitHub.
Okay.
Even in the Yara rule that the creators of Rubeus have provided, this GUID is there.
Okay.
So one thing that I do to get rid of all such things is do some basic obfuscation. The problem is you can't do a lot of obfuscation manually because of the size of these projects. But we now have a lot of tools which let us do this stuff. One of the tools that I found to be especially capable of doing this is Invisibility Cloak. You can change the name from not Rubeus. So what this will do is it will take the solution, the .NET solution present in the current directory, change the GUID, change its name from Rubeus to not Rubeus everywhere, and every string present in some C# code here will be obfuscated using base 64. It's not a very great measure, but it avoids the signature-based detection. As you can see, in all the C# files, it has performed some base 64 based obfuscation, and it has changed the name of the solution, and it has also provided a new GUID. Now, if we go look at the solution again in Visual Studio, we can see that now it's not Rubeus and the GUID is different. Also, in the different command sections, we can see that all the strings have been converted into base 64. Right. So none of them are as they were before this.
And I think it has also added a function there, convert from base 64.
Yeah. So basically it has removed that string, but like in the same placeholder, while this is running dynamically, that string will be recreated.
Correct.
This still has a problem because these names are still there.
Yeah, as you mentioned, arguments or
these names are still there.
Or the modules of Rubeus, I would say.
So if we build this will still get detected. Yes, not Rubeus will still get detected. Wait, I should get from here. Because this amount of obfuscation is not enough. We can also run Confuser X on it, but the problem now with Confuser X is, even though it will hide the fact that the binary is Rubeus, Windows Defender has caught up on binaries which are packed or which are mangled with Confuser X. So it will mark it as malicious just because Confuser X was used, right? So one other thing that we can do with this binary to get it to run is convert it into a base 64 string.
The entire binary?
Yes, the entire binary. And run it through PowerShell in a fileless manner.
Okay.
So this will be not. Okay. So I have a boilerplate PowerShell script which can be used to run such a file. The base 64 string goes here, and the name of the assembly goes here. And the main function of the assembly gets executed once it gets loaded.
Okay.
Right. So I use this boilerplate PowerShell code for that. So what we can do is grab that base 64 string. This is huge. Let's just grab it and paste it here. Okay. Yeah. And the name of the assembly is not Rubeus. We can also confirm any of these things through something like dnspy. We can decompile the whole binary and look at what exactly we want to execute. We don't have to just it's not necessary that we just execute the main. We can execute any other inbuilt function.
Okay.
So not Rubeus. Alright, so this is our demonstration folder. Here we have this PS1 with this PowerShell script, and also have a working AMSI bypass. This I have grabbed from amsi.fail. It's a hit or a miss. This one works right now. 3 days later it may not. Right. So let's just spin up a Python SPE server.
Okay, so what I am getting from here is that right now we are going to remotely access that the script,
Yes.
the obfuscated script with the obfuscated Rubeus,
Yes.
and then it is going to load it in memory and then run it.
Yes.
Okay, so it will never touch the disk. So
Yes, it will never touch the disk, and I'm not going to just run it in PowerShell directly. What I'll do is I'll create another PowerShell session inside of this session, so that after execution, it's killed.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so that's a new thing for me. I did not know that.
This is actually a very interesting way. That's the name of it. Not R. It's a very interesting way because what I found while testing was, if I don't kill the PowerShell session just after executing what I wanted to execute, sometimes either the EDR or something, it just picks it up. So instead of doing that, let's just kill the PowerShell session.
Okay.
We'll get the binary in the session every time we have to run something.
Yeah. I think this command we can also run it from CMD as well, right?
The problem with doing that is some EDRs don't really like it when PowerShell command is being executed
from a CMD.
From CM.
Sure. Okay.
But this is something that at least Elastic is not blocking as of now. So we can try something like try hash. Oh, my bad. Spelling mistake.
Okay, it took some time then.
Yeah, it took some time. But it was able to triage everything, and we did not see a Microsoft Defender pop up.
Yeah,
right?
No alerts.
No alerts. We can also run something which is a little more time consuming. Or actually, now again, the problem with this is getting this, this kind of a bandwidth, this kind of, it's gonna take time every single time you want to run it, but it's doing the stuff it's supposed to do, and Defender is not really causing an issue.
So can you just okay, it's already doing its work. So can we scroll up, or do we have to wait for when? Okay, it's already complete.
So it's
so can you explain like what the purpose of that command? What's the command is trying to do? So I see some TGTs, I guess, plus some silver. Okay, so some service ticket plus TGTs here. Okay. Yeah, it can happen. So let's open another, I think.
Yeah, so this is the command that I've been using. I'll actually pull this out in something you can see it. Right? So what this is doing is, within this these quotation marks is the command that I want to run in PowerShell. First, it invokes a web request to this IP and port, and gets the amz.ps1 from there.
So it's first bypassing the
first
AMZ.
it's bypassing the AMZ.
Okay.
And invoke expression is just running the PowerShell script, and it does the same with this new PowerShell script that we made.
Okay.
So this PowerShell script, what it has been doing is it just loads the assembly into the memory, and it creates a function where we can call a function from that assembly.
Okay, got it.
So after that, like after this has finished, I just invoke that. I just use that function to run something.
Correct.
Right. So that was for Rubeus. We can do the same for tools like Certify, for Whisper, for any .NET production, right? We can't do the same for Mimikatz because Mimikatz is not a .NET.
Probably a C binary.
Yeah, it's a C binary. But I also have a solution for that.
Okay.
So this is the invoke Mimikatz.
The PowerShell version.
Yeah, the PowerShell version. It has the embedded binaries in it. I think they're way down here. I think they were here somewhere. I don't remember, but this has the embedded binaries inside of it. This is highly signatured. If you write invoke Mimikatz and this is not even loaded, Windows Defender still does not like that.
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm gonna do with this is, because I want this to run. This is the command that I want to run. Right. I want to dump the SAM and get through with LSA. Right.
Okay.
So I'll change the name. Let's not keep it invoke Mimikatz. Let's make it happy puppy. The invocation, let's change that too. Okay. Now I'll use something called invoke obfuscation. It's another great tool. It's a very old tool. I am still surprised how this works right out of the box.
Okay. So again, a obfuscator tool.
Yeah, it's an
invoke obfuscation.
The thing with this is it lets you pick how you exactly want to obfuscate. So you can obfuscate the same PowerShell script in multiple ways. It will have multiple different signatures.
Okay.
Right. So this was the okay. I'll just do a simple token obfuscation. Now this will take a little while. What this does is it creates PowerShell equivalence. So like there's a line which might be heavily signatured. This will break apart that line into different parts. It will arrange them in different orders. It will encode them in different ways. So currently it just takes tokens and changes the order in which they are present. But you can do a lot with this tool. It's great, and the fact that it works out of the box with Mimikatz, at least for now, is amazing.
I think because of the amount of obfuscation it's doing, I think Microsoft will not be able to catch it based on the signatures it is producing for these binaries or for these scripts.
Yeah.
I think that is the reason.
Yes. It still performs the same functions that Mimikatz is supposed to do, right? So an EDR which has hooks on all the DLLs, that will catch this in no time. But this works right now on Defender. So that's great for us right now, right?
I think based on the commands, variables, members, arguments, strings, basically everything that is in there, the code.
Yeah, I'll show you the difference. Like this is invoke Mimikatz, right?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be looking. These are the ones. Okay.
So this is how it looks right now, and it looks like readable code, right? You can go through this and picture or piece together how things are looking, how it works, and whatnot. What this is doing is it's mangling that code so much that the script interpreter will have to dynamically figure out what's actually happening, right? So it has completed. Let's put this into okay. This is actually, let me open it in the same editor. Yeah, so this is how the new file looks.
Totally different.
Yes. You can look at this stuff and understand that this was supposed to say current domain, right?
Yeah.
But a script interpreter can statically not tell that,
Right.
right? And everything gets reordered. All these braces right here are just reordering what's suffixed to
Yeah.
them.
Okay. Or is it talking about the position there, like on the first position?
Yeah, exactly.
sort?
So it's just changing the order.
Okay.
So there's a string there, and there's
This is the order.
yeah, that's the order in which you have to reconstruct that string before
Okay.
passing it on to something that's
Yeah.
that's how it's building the whole script essentially
Yeah.
during runtime.
Yeah. Interesting.
And even the invocation that I wrote, this is how it looks now. So now some of
Even
these
I think
things-
that binaries are also changed there.
yeah, even the binaries are reordered, and it's been broken into thousands of pieces.
Right.
The invocation is something I'm a little worried about
Okay.
because it has these strings still,
Okay. Still
there,
not.
right. But let's see if this works. If it doesn't, we'll
Manually.
obfuscate this again.
Again.
Right? It doesn't matter.
Mm.
So let's head to our virtual machine. What was it? Invoke happy puppy, right?
Yeah.
So again, an AMSI bypass is required,
Yeah.
and this
And-
takes a long while because
Yeah.
the whole script is being rebuilt.
Yep.
But it's worth it. Like if you get to dump some domain credentials without
Yeah.
the antivirus even getting a hint of it, that's
Yeah.
great. This will definitely be reflected in the PowerShell history.
Correct.
And if script logging is there, so you might need to bypass that in a different way. But in case you're not worried about those, you can run this as is.
Right.
And I hope this works. This was working when I was testing it today morning.
Yeah. Again, it happens.
It's a cat.
Again, yeah. Evading antiviruses, EDRs, it's lots of trial and error.
So as you can see,
Yeah.
right, the domain credentials of the users, the hashes, even this is a domain controller. So the KRB, TGT, the administrator, the whole domain is gone.
Yep.
The SAM hashes. So it was able to do all of that. Windows Defender could not pick up on this. And the best thing is that those binaries that we loaded right now, not loaded but essentially imported, they're gone. They don't exist on the system anymore.
So there is no trace.
There's no trace of them. So even if some malware analyst got a hold of the script, they will be able to piece together that this is exactly what happened. But Defender will not stop.
Okay.
Right. So that is something.
And the time they are going to do that, between that we already have the credentials, as you can see.
Yes. So we can maintain persistence in various
different
ways.
ways.
Right.
Perfect.
So this was primarily the demonstration. What I had created. So, So Defender's reaction and effectiveness towards basic obfuscation is now it's a very mature security product. So like earlier we used to say that you should have Kaspersky on your device.
Right.
Windows Defender will not do anything.
Yeah.
But with the recent cloud integrations and integrations with their AI expert systems, it has become a very, very robust.
It has evolved a lot.
Yes. So these are some pipelines that we were working on. So this is the most basic one. Again, if Confuser X, like if you are able to do something more with it, in a way that signatures are not being caught of Confuser X, then this works great. Like if I remove the cloud delivered protection right now, Confuser X binaries do not get detected on this.
Okay.
Right. This is the methodology used for Rubeus. Right. We converted into a base 64 string, did an AMSI bypass, imported that string remotely, loaded into an assembly and ran it as a function. And this is something which we did with invoke Mimikatz. Invoke obfuscation was very, very underutilized by me because like we have a limited time.
Yeah. But we can do a lot with it.
Yes, we can also encode with it and do whatnot. If we do a lot, like if we like overutilize it, sometimes it breaks apart. But like we could have used it even more. Mitigation strategies against attackers who go for Windows Defender is the responsibility of whoever owns the device, right? So you need to keep all those features of Microsoft Defender turned on. As I told everybody before, having sample submission cloud delivered protection becomes a very, very big pain for us to deal with, even as professionals, right? So any attacker who is trying to attack you will also probably face those issues. Microsoft Defender also has an endpoint security solution called MDE, which does the work of Defender and even more. So if we leverage that, if we are able to do that on our systems, that would be great. And antivirus defaults will not provide you complete protection. The latest patch of Defender is letting Mimikatz run. Right. The best practices, again, multi-layered defenses. A lot of BYOD companies, what they are doing is that even if the device is not their own, they will only let those devices log into their VPN once they are ensured that this device is protected by an antivirus and has a EDR running on it in a functional state. So that is something that companies can do, they are doing. And application whitelisting, behavioral detection, all of that stuff, it's great. Everybody should deploy such solutions on their enterprise servers and stuff, right? CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, such potent EDRs, we don't even try sometimes, to dump LSAS on them unless, we know that, okay, the engagement is about to end.
Correct.
And we can raise a few red flags. These are very potent EDRs, and if they are deployed across endpoints, even Sophos has a very good XDR. So if such solutions are deployed across endpoints, security is more or less guaranteed. Now this is something which I was going through when I was, trying to understand why Defender is flagging all of my payloads and stuff like that. So the AI in Defender, it is learning things so fast, and I'm sure that even other EDRs have got some sort of an AI system running for them. It's picking up on patterns, it's learning stuff so fast that it's difficult to keep up with the cat and mouse game, because earlier it was the red team against the blue team. Now it's a red team against blue team and AI.
Correct.
Right? We are still looking for ways to employ AI within our red team, so I think it's fair. Some evasion methods which should work with EDRs have more to do with shutting off the telemetry, like if they're collecting stuff and then raising alerts or doing stuff like that. Like there's event tracing for Windows. If we can stop ETW, right, it's essentially the eyes and ears of the EDR, then it does not get to know what's happening.
Basically, you're blocking the source so that it will not reach the destination.
Exactly. And like what I have been doing in this podcast specifically, it has more to do with evasion than bypassing. Yes, we did bypass AMSI, but with EDRs, it's difficult to evade EDRs, very difficult to evade. Bypassing takes a lot of research. Like that AMSI script was not mine, right? That takes a lot of research, but I think that is one of the only ways you can get through an EDR these days. Right? And integration of AI with live incident response, that is something that Microsoft has recently started doing. That is proving to be really great, because like I said, if an actual person got a hold of my script, they would be able to piece together what exactly happened, right? Whenever we talk about an actual person, that nowadays can be replaced with
Yeah.
some sort of an AI, right?
True.
If it will not grasp exactly what happened, it will at least be able to raise a lot of alerts.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is going to be a very strong foundation for the next generation of EDRs. And that's essentially it. We bypassed the latest patch of defenders, and we were able to get through. One last closing note before we wrap up: the techniques being shown on this podcast are very time sensitive. So like we are recording this on a particular date. They're working right now, and like I have spent a lot of time finding out ways to do this. If a lot of people start doing this, if I do this a lot more times, this will also get signatured, and this will stop working as well. So the basic idea behind evading defender or any sort of a security solution is doing research and understanding why you're being blocked. So like these techniques may not work, but you would have to base your techniques on this methodology of converting your payloads and running them in wrappers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a evolving field.
Exactly.
So whatever is that is running today may not be running tomorrow. And again, an amazing podcast. So just in brief, we see how we evaded antivirus that comes by default on the Windows systems. Then we see how easily we have evaded software solutions like Mimikatz and Rubeus, which is again, these are the heavily signatured. Still, how easy it is to bypass them. So I think so a great knowledge for our audiences, so that they can use this information again. So whatever technologies or techniques or tools we have shown here, please do it on your own authorized environments, or only if you want to do it, if you have a lab, maybe practice there. And if you are going to perform it any other places, do it with proper authorization. So yeah, I think if you really like this video, then hit the like button and share our videos with your friends, with your colleagues. So again, so thank you guys.